So, Tigers Nation, LSU Nation, how confident are we, or optimistic are we that LSU will show improvements on Saturday versus South Carolina? That's what I'm going to be talking about. So, welcome back to the channel, and let's hop on into it. So, LSU is on the bye week. You know, there was jokes going around on social media saying that LSU lost the bye week. We had 53 yards rushing, and Nussmeier threw two interceptions, and one of those interceptions was into triple coverage. That was just some of the jokes that was going around on some of the LSU fan pages and groups and stuff like that, which was laugh. You was able to laugh, but it was also a sad reality that happened. That could happen, right? We saw Nussmeier throw an interception into triple coverage versus Ole Miss, but you got to try to flush that Ole Miss lost down the drain. But because it was a bye week and it wasn't any action from this LSU Tiger team, a lot of the big time LSU insiders and podcasters and media people, especially like AOY, how does this AYO podcast, right? That guy's been making his rounds around SEC media and other LSU podcasts, and he's been talking and he's been keeping it real. I respect him, right? I always say that LSU's fan base is 80-20. 80% of the fan base is extremely delusional and they don't want to hear the truth, and the other 20% are still loyal fans, but we are able to hear the truth and we can see with our own two eyes when things are going wrong with this LSU football team, and we're able to call it out, and we don't really care if people don't like what we got to say because the truth ultimately hurts. So is LSU going to show improvements on Saturday? Well, I hope so, because again, they want a bye week. So, again, AYO Sports was saying that the rounds have been made about Nussmeier not putting in the work this offseason, him being lazy, him not using the virtual reality headset that allowed Jaden Daniels to take a significant leap from his junior year to his senior year, right? And you start hearing all these things. You just kind of like the narrative being heard. And some of the things that I also read too was just that Nussmeier is just not hasn't been putting in the work. And the reason why Brian Kelly hasn't benched Nussmeier is because Nussmeier's dad is the offensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints. And I forgot Nussmeier's dad was the offensive coordinator for the Saints. I know his dad was, I believe, on a Eagles staff, and I knew Nussmeier had a dad that coached in the NFL, but I'm not a Saints fan. I'm an Eagles fan. So I wasn't thinking about that. And they were saying that pretty much they're just trying to keep Nussmeier's draft stock as high as possible. And right now, if the season ended today, I don't think Nussmeier would get drafted very high at all, because Nussmeier started the season off as a front runner for the Heisman Trophy. Him, Cade Klubnik, Arch Manning, and a few others, and those guys are completely falling off the radar. Now, is there time in the season for Nussmeier to hop back into this Heisman race and become a front runner and even possibly win the Heisman? Hell yeah, it is. There's a lot of more games left on the schedule for LSU. Big games, right? You still got A&M that's coming in. You got Alabama. You still got to go against Oklahoma, Vanderbilt. Got some big games left on the schedule. Nussmeier can turn it on. He has probably one of the best wide receiver rooms in all of the nation. And it's, what better opportunity to turn it on and tell everybody to kiss your ass than coming out of the bye week. But, reading some of these things about Nussmeier, don't put in the work. He's lazy. He hasn't really changed his body type. He's afraid to be hit, right? You've seen some other things saying that Nussmeier checks out of a lot of design runs for him to be able to pick up some hitting yards with his feet. Quarterback that's mobile, that's able to pick up some hard fought yards, that's a blessing in the NFL and in college sports, right? In college football, it's a blessing, because sometimes defenses are kind of not really expecting the quarterback to run. And whenever you can pick up some hitting yards. I like to say when you need, it's like 3rd and 4 and your quarterback's able to get that first down, pick up those 4 yards, pick up those 5 yards to get a 4th down. That pisses a defense off. That pisses a defensive coordinator off, and it forces the defense to be honest, right? You have to now account for all aspects of the offense, the wide receivers, the tight ends, the running back, and oh, by the way, you know, this quarterback will pull it down and tuck it and pick up 4 or 5 yards. So you've seen all of these things coming out over the bye week. Some things that I didn't know. I'm not connected at all to LSU. I just get on here and I read things and I see what I see watching the games, and I just come on this platform on this podcast and I just give y'all the real. But coming out of the bye week is an awesome opportunity for this offense to show everyone and kind of fulfill those expectations that all of the nation had for LSU. This team was a top 5 team. Now they're sitting at number 11 because we saw Florida State lose. We saw Penn State lose. So a few ranked teams lost. Right? Texas lost. Texas Texas lost versus Florida. So LSU has came down. They was sitting at number 13. Now they're like number 11. So they're coming back down. You know, somebody in the top 10 is probably going to lose next week. So LSU is probably going to come back down some more. If they can win versus South Carolina, you might see LSU come back down into the top 10 or probably the top 5, because the nation, a lot of the people that was high on LSU hasn't necessarily fallen asleep on LSU just yet. They still have high expectations for LSU. Just got to see what they're going to do out of the bye. Nussmeier is hurt. He isn't hurt. Who knows? His dad wants him to play because they want to preserve his draft stock. Who knows? We don't know. But I do think LSU is going to come out the bye week and be a little bit more productive on offense versus South Carolina, because they have no other choice or option to be exciting on offense, because they had a bye week. They had an opportunity to sit Nussmeier ass down, tell his ass to get on the virtual reality headset or whatever that little shindig is and put in the goddamn work. He can also heal because they say he have some type of upper body injury. So we know Nussmeier's arm is not a noodle arm. We saw Nussmeier rip the ball all last year to his receivers. And this year it seems like he barely can throw the ball for 30 yards. So your arm just doesn't disappear that fast over the course of a year. So I'm not worrying about Nussmeier's arm. I'm just worrying about the injury and him being able to see the field and get the ball to his dynamic playmakers like Chris Hilton Jr., Brian Brown, and those guys, right? This is a elite wide receiver room, and right now it's just not being put in a position to be elite. So to answer my own question, yes, I am optimistic that LSU is going to come out after this bye versus a very feisty South Carolina team and look exciting on offense and get this LSU fan base excited again, because after that loss to Ole Miss, the fan base was kind of like, fire Brian Kelly. Shit, I was one of them. Fire Brian Kelly, whatever, bench Nussmeier. And Nussmeier hasn't been benched, and Joe Sloan is still the offensive coordinator. So the only thing we can do is just ride with this LSU team, because we don't have any other choices yet, unless Brian Kelly decides to bench Nussmeier and sack Joe Sloan and tell someone else to call the plays. The only thing we can do is remain optimistic for our LSU Tigers to turn it on and just be that offense that we all expect them to be and all thought that they would be. So y'all let me know in the comment section, are y'all optimistic that LSU offense is going to come out of the bye week and turn it on? Y'all let me know, yes or no. And until next time, until next time, I'm out. But I also want to say that I am proud of everyone who supports me here on this channel. It means a lot. Thank y'all. And if y'all haven't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification button so you can stay up to date on all the latest drops here on this channel. And now, until next time, I'm out.